Do this. We're live.
Bro, which one is the
That's how you can turn it off.
Sorry.
You
I can't find the right. There it is. I don't know. I was just looking at this beautiful.
welcome back to Table Talk Sports. I'm your host Logan with
Kai.
Marcelo.
and today we'll be jumping into the Sweet 16 matchups. First matchup we got.
Can we just recap?
Oh yeah, I guess we'll recap. What was your guys' favorite upset so far?
Princeton. I called it.
Against
I called it
Against
behind
who?
the scene. Princeton against Arizona. I called it behind
You
the
called
scenes.
it in your
I
chaos
ca-
bracket.
I called it behind the scenes. You could quote last week. Last week I called it.
Where?
I'm like I'm gonna say Princeton. I feel like New Jersey basketball is just like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Remember
then
that?
FDU when Tobin Anderson
Was
said
you even on? So were you on the?
No.
Were you on the? You weren't even on the cast.
no,
He was
I
over
was,
there.
I was on Switcher.
He look, he
You
did
said
say
it.
it. He did. I think he.
I
but
did say, and
I
then
didn't hear anything.
what Tobin Anderson said, like the more I watch Purdue, the more I think we could beat them. Like I'm picking FDU.
Oh, what?
There is no
I
way
did-
you were.
I-
no. There's,
Sell, you
I
actually
don't care how
sell.
much of a believer. There's no way you believe that. There's 0% way. Oh, this dude said we can beat them, so I'm gonna pick them.
Okay, hold on. Let me pull the bracket.
Oh my gosh, it's this chaos bracket
No,
where you
so
pick every
we
single
don't
16
care
to
what your
win.
chaos bracket. You're picking random high seeds. There was no logistics behind that pick. There was zero logistics.
Actually, no. I was gonna have Purdue beat them, but after Tobin Anderson said that, I'm just saying.
I'll just go. I'll say Furman. It was a crazy game.
Yeah.
I didn't get to watch it
Furman was
live.
nice.
I watched
Because-
the ending on the bus. It was crazy.
I was
bro.
at
It
track
crazy.
practice, but I saw it after, and it was a crazy buzzer beater. I'm not gonna say FD because I can't feel like that's kind of generic, but I feel like everybody says that. But yeah, I'll say Furman.
So
Alright,
no one
you
cares
can't
about your
see-
chaos
no one can
bracket.
see it. No one
No
cares.
No one cares about your chaos
Okay.
bracket.
Doesn't count.
It's a
Doesn't mean-
chaos
that's like-
bracket. It's just a random bracket.
I got Princeton and FDU right in the same bracket. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, how many other picks did you get right?
Basically, like everything else
Uh-huh.
besides the freaking Maryland game, and I picked some round-up upsets.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's it.
Like UCSB, all these other.
Yo, I'm sorry
Kent
about.
State.
I'm sorry about the UNC Asheville, the UCSB. In my defense, UCSB did look amazing in that first half. I really thought they were gonna pull it off. I was watching in school. You know, I went on the bus, checked my phone. I finally got Wi-Fi, and they were down 15. It is what it is. But you know, UNC Asheville will be back next year. Mark my words. But
Let's talk about which team impressed us the most over the first weekend.
team impressed me the most. I'm gonna say Miami. I was watching them last night. They were hitting shots. They were out rebounding Indiana when Indiana had both their bigs on the court. And that's not just any bigs. TJD, even Malik Renew is a good rebounder.
Yeah, there's like a lot of teams that I want to highlight. Creighton, one of them. UConn,
UConn, yeah.
Arkansas.
Xavier.
No,
Xavier's been on and off. I mean,
I think they're going to
they've
get
been
mobbed
wi-
by
they-
Texas.
they've played good at sometimes. They played really bad, but Bohm, their best scorer, has not shown up at all so far in March Madness. But I mean, if he turns it up, I could see them beating Texas. Texas is an
Yeah,
interesting team always in March. So
yeah.
I'm
I
a
think
firm Xavier believer.
You-
I've been high on them all year. Why stop now?
UConn was really impressive. Obviously, they beat Iona. It was a really well-coached team, and they also not embarrassed, but they took care of business against St. Mary's. And their path to the Final Four is pretty open. Kansas is out, and Arkansas is no walk in the park. And Arkansas has the talent to beat them, but I mean, UConn just put it all together at the right time. Arkansas is another team who impressed me.
Mhm.
You know, they pretty much dominated Illinois for the whole game. And then against Kansas, I mean, we said it, like, Arkansas had the talent to beat Kansas, and I said I wouldn't be surprised if they did, and they ultimately did. And I feel like I wish I would have picked them. I just didn't have the balls to pick them.
Yeah, I mean, Arkansas in the beginning of the year, most people were putting them in the Final Four with all the talent that was coming in. So I'm not surprised where they are. If they keep this up, I could definitely see them making a run. Do I think they're going to win a national championship? Not necessarily, but I could see them getting there.
What about teams that disappointed? Not like, let's not say obvious ones like Purdue, but I feel like Duke. People, even though Tennessee was a higher seed, everybody was favoring Duke. Basically, Zakai Ziegler was out, and even though Mark Mitchell was out for Duke, I do still feel like Duke's team is a lot better, and that's just what March is like. You got to expect unexpected. Same with FAU. I mean, FAU coming out of not really out of nowhere, but I'll say out of nowhere because nobody really had them making it to the Sweet 16. So
Teams I think disappointed a lot. I feel like this might be an obvious pick, but I feel like you have to say Iowa State. I mean, I don't know what kind of basketball they played. I've watched Rutgers' offense this whole year, and I haven't seen a worse offense than what Iowa State just put up. That's just ridiculous. I genuinely don't know. I tuned in the game for a bit, and I was like, why is Pitt up by 20 at the beginning of the game, and why does Iowa State have like 10 points, almost a half? I was like, yeah. I don't know. They didn't even show up at all.
yeah,
They played terrible. And they were a team that could beat anyone, to be honest.
they just beat Baylor twice.
They beat them 3 times this year. I mean, I don't know.
All right, let's talk about players that kind of disappointed. I'll start. I'm going to say Keontae George. Obviously, after the injury, he wasn't the same, but still, come March time, he wasn't the Keontae George that everybody saw at the beginning of the season and before the injury, and he had like 9 points in the first round and only 7 points against Creighton. So
I'm gonna have to say Solly Blum. I mean, he started off the game against Kennesaw State good. I think he had his first 4 shots in, but besides that, he hasn't been himself.
yeah.
But if he turns it up, I'm a sole believer in him. So I think he'll bounce back.
Yeah, against Pitt. I mean, he kept shooting it, which they say shooters shoot, but yeah, he was struggling. But at the end of the day, his playmaking ability is like
He might be
just allows
dropping
him to
like
stay.
he did drop 17 against Kennesaw State and 14, but the shooting splits just aren't there. I mean, he's shooting 38% in the first game and then 23% in the second game. Normally, if he's doing that, he'd be scoring like 25, 26, which makes it a whole different game.
Yeah.
They easily close out both of those games.
One of the players that impressed.
Players that impressed, feel like Marcus Noel, you have
Yeah.
to put him in there. I mean, what a dog, what a guy.
Yeah.
Jersey made, come on.
And Adama Sanogo, another Jersey guy. From Patrick School, but
We got to shut up that FDU guy. What's his name? Roberts?
yeah, Dimitri Roberts.
Was he 5'8"? He's
Yeah.
5'8"?
5'8".
Damn.
5'8" Kings are showing out. But Adama Sanogo, he was dominant again. The UConn Bigs have been dominant like they have been all season. Trace Jackson Davis tried to carry Indiana. Just didn't work out
Yeah, I
enough.
just the whole year I was wondering where Indiana was going to get its shooting from, and since their shooting didn't show up against a really good team, that's why they didn't win. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much 3-point shooting you can have. I mean, you have Miller Kopp, but I mean, Tamar Bates hasn't been good in a long time. Galloway hasn't been hitting the 3 that much anymore. So
Yeah. You gonna speak? Bro did not watch any games. All right. Let's just go
yeah,
to
but
Sweet 16.
I thought you called that FDU thing, Cello.
I did call it.
I thought you were like,
I
I'm
did
gonna
call it.
I'm gonna
I
make the
was-
Sweet 16.
I
We're
was
gonna
on my
make our
show.
picks from the Sweet 16. So what's the Sweet? Bama's here. Bama's here.
just put where the teams are.
Yeah.
Bama versus
San Diego State. Creighton versus Princeton.
Bless you.
Thanks.
I guess I'll just start talking about this while we write it down. Bama versus San Diego State. I really like this Bama team. I mean, a lot of scores, a lot of shooters, but I mean, I feel like I'm not trying to bring up the joke, but I mean, they do have a lot of shooters. I really like what Quinterly's doing. Brandon Miller had a bad first game, but he's back. I really think they're a national contender. I feel like right now they're my national championship winner. If I was to pick one right now, I really like him in that matchup against San Diego State. Glad to see a Mountain West team in the Sweet 16. Been a while. I don't even know if that's happened before, but it definitely has. But yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Bama. Yeah. Brandon Miller had a rough first game, but that goes to show how deep this team is. They pretty much breeze through. I know it's a 16 seed, but usually these teams they don't keep it close, but they show some fight. But yeah, they looked pretty good without Brandon Miller, and then against Maryland he looked like himself. But San Diego State, they were not that they were decent against Charleston, but they looked really good against Furman. I just don't know if they have the offense to keep up with Bama. because these teams that they played so far, they do not have offenses like Bama where they can just go cold for periods of time. So San Diego State's offense is gonna have to keep up. I mean, they looked good against Furman, but Furman's, even though they got the upset, they're still an inferior team. So their offense is gonna have to show up against Bama. But ultimately, I'm gonna say Bama's gonna win.
Yeah, I do like SU's bigs, but I really don't see them winning this game. Who you got, Solo?
For Bama SD. Bama.
Okay.
Creighton
versus
Princeton.
Princeton. As
Like,
much,
this is another obvious pick. I like what Princeton's been doing, but I just don't know who's gonna guard Kalkbrenner. I mean, he's been
Yeah.
amazing so
and
far.
Nemhard's been really good.
I mean, they have probably out of I don't know what I'm trying to say right now, but they have the most balanced lineup I feel like in the country, and that's why I'm taking Creighton.
Yeah. Princeton had a nice run, but I feel like they haven't. You could say Arizona's higher seed, but I do think Creighton is better than Arizona, anyways.
Mhm.
And they haven't played a team as good. Like Arizona's, they have Tubelis, obviously, but Kalkbrenner is better than him, and it's going to pose matchup problems. And I do feel like they got kind of lucky. I mean, that's what happens in March, but against Princeton, like, I mean,
So
against
the luck's
Arizona,
gonna run out,
Arizona
yeah.
just went very cold. I don't really know what they were doing. And Missouri's a good team, but I feel like whenever these 15s or 16s get upset, or whenever these 15s get upset the first round, they always cruise past the 7 seeds or 8 or 10s that they play. So, but yeah, I'm gonna say Creighton's gonna win.
You got Solo?
Screw it. Princeton.
All right.
All right.
I got it. New Jersey basketball on top.
FAU versus Tennessee. This is a game I have not thought about, but I like. I do think Tennessee's gonna win. Vescovi's he's good, but FAU, I feel like they went down to the wire against FDU. They won by 8, but if you watch the game, it was basically down to the wire.
They win their
And-
close games. I feel like
And I mean, if they
FAU
hit their
keeps it
threes,
close.
like they hit their threes to stop multiple FDU runs during that game. If they can do that, I can see them upsetting Tennessee, but Tennessee just looked very good, especially against Duke. So
I really love this Tennessee defense. I mean, Duke, one of the best rebounding teams in the country, got out rebounded by Tennessee. Sorry, Duke, the best rebounding team in the country, I think, got out rebounded by Tennessee. I really like Tennessee's defense. I love their shooting. They got a lot of experience around Tennessee.
I like chaos.
okay.
FAU. I feel like if FAU could just outshoot them, if FAU could outshoot Tennessee.
Yeah,
I
these
think
I
it
feel
wins.
like the South and East regions aren't that. I mean, the matchups are good, but they're not that great. But this one's the best out of these 4 so far that we talked about. Kansas State versus Michigan State at the Garden. Izzo in March. There's not much more you can ask for. Kansas State's a really exciting team, but Sissoko's had a really good tournament so far.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I really don't know who to pick. I want to pick Kansas State just because I just like them. But I mean, I feel like Michigan State doesn't have like enough to combat Kansas State's offense, especially if Keontae Johnson can get it going. Like he had a pretty underwhelming game against Kentucky, and they still won. So I do think that Michigan State was very good this season, but unfortunately their run's coming to an end for Izzo. That puts Kansas State in the Elite 8.
I'm gonna have to go Michigan State. I mean, they are 0-1 in MSG this year. I was there last time. I got to witness Rutgers beat them, but I really feel like this Michigan State team is built for March. They have the guard play to combat K-State. I feel like K-State's gonna have to shoot a lot better. They didn't shoot that good against Kentucky. I mean, if they shoot better, I definitely can see them winning. But you know, I got to take an upset pick on this side of the bracket, so I got to take Michigan State.
We'll go to Houston, Miami.
Wait,
Houston-
so you
Oh
got-
shoot, I'm
K-State.
sorry. Huh?
I'm going K-State. I think K-State's just gonna win it. What?
Mister. Okay. We'll go to Houston versus Miami. Houston obviously did not look like themselves against Northern Kentucky, or even Auburn. Their second half. I mean, the first half against Auburn they did not look that great either. They're down 10, but the second half against Auburn was really where we started to see Houston finally get back to playing their type of basketball. I mean, they outscored them 50-30 in the second half. So it's a really really interesting game. Miami has a lot of good players. Isaiah Wong, obviously. Freaking whatever his name is. What's his name?
Nigel Pack.
Yeah, no.
Who are you talking about? I know so.
Orch, whatever the frick his name. Omir.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Omir. Norchad Omir. But I feel like Houston, just with Marcus Saxier, Jamal Shed, and Jarris Walker, I mean, if they put it together, we're in for some real fireworks. I mean, there's a lot of star power in this game, a lot of notable names. But in the end, I will pick Houston to go. I'm not really being exciting here, but I'm going to pick Houston.
Yeah, I think Houston's just a better team, and I personally have them winning it all.
Yeah, okay.
All right. I'm going Miami. I really love their team. I'm going Miami. I love the way they're playing. I love the way how they out rebounded Indiana. You good? In March, I love picking great offenses.
Okay. Well, you know
Next
what
one,
else? You know what
Xavier,
combats
Texas.
great offense?
Great defense.
Yeah.
Don't care.
Okay. Well, we'll go to Texas versus Xavier. Even though Xavier looked pretty good against who they play, Pitt. They look decent against Pitt. I just wasn't really impressed with like just what I'm seeing visually, and I do think Marcus Carr and Serge Abari Rice. I think that their explosiveness is going to be too much for Xavier to counter. Even though Xavier has a good offense, I just think that Texas is more battle tested, and I feel like they're going to win this game.
Yeah, I got Texas also. I really like this backcourt. Dessou had an amazing game against Penn State. I think he had 26 points. If he puts up points like that with that backcourt, I can't really see Texas losing. I got to take them over the way Xavier's been playing. Xavier fans, I've been riding you all year. I'm rooting for you, but unfortunately, I'm going to take Texas.
Yeah, it's just gonna be poor play from Xavier that just inevitably knocks him out of the tournament.
Much like any team, Sella.
Arkansas.
This is my favorite. This is my favorite matchup, other than Houston versus Miami, because there's just so much. Like I said, star power with Houston, but there's so much talent and star power in this game. Anthony Black, Nick Smith, Jared Walsh, Sanogo, Klingon.
Inevitably, I'm taking UConn because I feel like Arkansas doesn't have the experience that they lost last year. I feel like Sanogo's experience. He's been to March Madness before. Unfortunately, they lost last year, but I'm riding UConn. I really love their team. They were ranked number 1 in the country. They fell off a bit, but I still feel like they have the talent. They still have the talent to be number 1, so I'm taking them.
I really like freaking Jordan Hawkins. He had a really good game against St. Mary's, and I mean it's really a coin flip. I already have UConn in my main bracket, so I really don't want to pick against them. And I really like this team, so yeah, I'm gonna say UConn.
I feel like Arkansas could win. I feel like they beat Kansas.
Yeah,
so they could beat UConn.
That was great reasoning, Sella.
Gonzaga versus UCLA. I'm taking UCLA. They are getting revenge for what happened 2 years ago. Jalen Suggs, half court for the game. They're getting revenge. I really like this team. Singleton did sprain his ankle. I don't know if he's going to be playing, but I still like this team regardless. I like the way Amari Bailey's been playing. I always got Jaime Hawkes, who's Pac-12 Player of the Year. Experience all there. Give me the Bruins.
Yeah. I got UCLA also, but the Zags. I mean, the Zags. They've been a second half team so far this tournament. They were down against Grand Canyon. Ultimately, ended up winning. They were down against TCU. They ended up winning, and I think just they have a lot of good leadership. Julian Strother, Drew Timme, obviously, but in the end, I do think UCLA is just the overall better team. I think they're better offensively. I think that they're better defensively, and ultimately, I think UCLA wins.
UCLA.
Why?
The Zags just choke it out always.
Yeah, that's why they made 2 national champions in the past 5 years. Okay, I'm sorry, Sal. That brings us to the Final Four. Well, the Elite 8. Bama versus Creighton. I'm going with Bama.
I'm going Bama. I just feel like they have too much offense for Creighton to combat them. I feel like for Creighton to win, they're going to have an amazing shooting night. Schreierman's going to have have to go. I need 20 from at least Schreierman. Yeah, but I just like this Bama team more. I do like the way that Creighton's balanced, but I like the depth of Bama.
Yeah. I would, like I said before, it's kind of cliche to say this, but I think Creighton. I wouldn't be surprised if Creighton won. I feel like if Nembhard is playing like he's been playing, and Brandon Miller has an off game or Quinterly has an off game, like we could be in for an upset here, and I feel like a lot of people would be surprised, but I wouldn't be surprised by it. But at the end of the day, Bama's just a better overall team, and yeah.
So
Roll Tide.
okay. Tennessee, Michigan State for me. I'm taking Michigan State. Michigan State's played teams like Tennessee this year. They've done decently well against teams that play like Tennessee. I just feel like Michigan has too many people that can just go off in the game. I feel like Joey Hauser can have a game. Malik Hall can have a game that can get them over the hump. Obviously, Tyson Walker has been amazing so far. Even AJ Hogard. And the way that their bigs have been playing, I really like it. So I'm just, trusting Izzo to take the Big Ten to the Final Four for the first time in a little while. But, hopefully that could stop some of the Big Ten slander. Yeah.
I have Tennessee versus Kansas State. I think Kansas State wins. They just have, I don't know what to say, but like Marquise Noel, Keontae Johnson, they're just very, very high powered offense, very high motor. And they're very exciting to watch. And while I do think Tennessee's defense is good, I just don't think it's good enough to stop. I mean, it's good, but I don't think it's good enough to stop both of them on the same night. And Tennessee's gonna have to find offense on that same night, which it's been inconsistent without Zakai Ziegler, and they found it against Duke, but I don't think they find it again. So yeah, I'm going Kansas State.
Here I had FAU K State because I'm difficult, but basically K State will just overpower FAU. So we both have K State in the Final Four now.
Miami, Texas. This is my favorite matchup that can happen in the rest of the tournament. I feel like these are the two best backcourts in possibly the country. I really want to see these backcourts go against it, but I feel like Texas has a better backcourt and better wings and bigs, so I'm gonna have to go with Texas.
I have Houston versus Texas, and I think
That is a civil war.
I think the winner of this game is going to win the national championship for me. Once they get to the Final Four, it's basically home court advantage for them, while other fans will travel. But Houston and Texas, I got Texas winning. I think Houston will start to struggle again against a team with a good backcourt, just like Miami. But this time, I think Texas team is just a lot more rounded, not really based like on sort of runs. Like Miami was going on a lot of runs against Indiana, which is why they won. But that's also detrimental to them. So I do think Texas wins.
So
Houston versus Texas. I said it's like a civil war already. And I got Houston.
Why? Why?
Because
Because it's a civil war.
fuck the horn.
What?
hey, whoa!
Believe it. Oh no.
All right, UConn, UCLA. I got UConn beating UCLA. UConn, they're just like Sanogo and Klingon. They're so good, and Jordan Hawkins. Jordan Hawkins has a good game, like I said before. He will be the X factor for UConn's offense. Obviously, the bigs will take care of themselves, and if they can just focus zoning on Jamie Jacquez, however Logan says it, Jaime Hawquez Jr. But yeah, if they slow him down and they slow Amari Bailey down, yeah, I think UConn will ultimately win this game.
I just don't see how these UConn bigs are even. I don't. This is so unfair. Like Klingon and Sanogo. Once Sanogo comes out, you have some 7'2" paint beast who comes in. You're like, I feel bad for the bigs that they play. I mean, I don't really like UCLA's bigs that much, so I got to take UConn.
Yeah, I feel like if UCLA had Jalen Clark, then that's just a whole different story.
Yeah, I would have UCLA probably winning the chip if they had Jalen Clark.
But it's unfortunate for them.
Mm-hmm. Thoughts?
He doesn't know what's going on.
I have UCLA against Arkansas.
What do you like about UCLA?
They're good.
They're good.
They're good.
Uh-huh.
Alright.
Every team is good.
Yep.
Besides
Alright.
like Purdue.
Okay, that was
That was a random
some
shot.
random shot at some Purdue fans. Yeah. I got Bama versus Michigan State. I feel like this is where the luck runs out for Izzo in March. Yeah, I'm trusting. Bama was my natty pick to start, so I'm trusting them to take them to at least the natty. We'll see where I pick then, but
Yeah. I had Bama versus Kansas State, and I think Bama's length just is ultimately the deciding factor against Kansas State. And I mean, we saw it with Kentucky. Their length also gave Kansas State problems, but I feel like Brandon Miller, if he just does his thing, if Javon Quinlan does his thing, they have all the tools to beat Kansas State. But Kansas State can definitely make a trip to the final, to the national championship. But I do think Bama is just a better team.
so
I have Bama K-State and I have Bama. Roll Tide.
okay.
Okay.
I got Texas versus UConn on the other side. I do like this matchup, but this is where my run for UConn ends. I feel like I really like this UConn team. I feel like I don't know. I really want to pick UConn, but I just feel like the home court advantage, being in Houston. I really like this Texas team. They can really run up the score. This is a really tough game. I gotta go Texas.
Yeah. I have Texas, but I do not. I'm kind of scared about the matchup problems that UConn's bigs will pose for Texas. And while Texas does have the guards to be able to counter them, UConn's bigs just. I mean, Texas's tallest player is like 6'9", I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, UConn has two centers that are bigger and better than them. So once again, I do think it comes down to Jordan Hawkins, how he plays. If they can get something out of their guards, then they can definitely beat Texas. But Texas in Houston, the fans behind them, it's been a minute for Texas, and I do think that Texas beats UConn. They're Big 12 battle tested, so and that brings us to
I
Bama
have
versus Texas.
Houston. I have Houston over UCLA. Kind of what Tyler said. Home court advantage. I'm sorry for stealing everything. from you guys.
But like, I just want to know because you've been really riding this Houston team. What excites you about Houston?
I have them winning my whole bracket. What? I feel like I'm being.
They have a great defense, is what he's trying to say. They have a really good defense. Jamal Shad, Marcus Sasser.
I just told you that, bro.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they're not getting past Sweet 16 for me, but they're in Celo's final, so we'll see.
Okay, I have Bama versus Texas, and at the end of the day, it will come home to the state of Texas. Sir-Jabari Rice will win national championship game. What's it called? MVP? That's what they call it. I don't know. He will win the Player of the National Championship award. Marcus Carr will have the game of his career, and Brandon Miller, you had a good run at Bama, but JQ, it's over.
I had Texas in the Final Four. I forget if it was last year or the year before, but they got upset in the first round, and I'm holding a grudge against Texas and the whole state. I'm gonna have to go Bama. I mean, it was really ridiculous. I mean, I had like an amazing bracket through day one. I only had the Oral Roberts game on. Shout out to Ohio State. You suck. I had almost a perfect bracket. I mean, I was going crazy. I remember I had Oregon State. Tyler was there. We were watching the Oral Roberts game. And then the next day I was like, all right, we're looking real good. And then Texas comes on and they lose to like Abilene Christian or something. And I already have in my Final Four. Also, I had Ohio State like in the Elite Eight. So like, I hate both of those schools. Roll Tide, Brandon Miller, the Big Shot Killer.
What? Just did a Geo Baker, the Big Shot Maker, and then we have Brandon Miller, the Big Shot Killer.
Yeah, I mean, he's really just gonna deliver the
Brandon
paint.
Miller, the
He's gonna
lethal
deliver the
killer.
paint on the court.
Well, this is how I see Bama if they were to win. Brandon Miller is going to deliver the shots that they need in order to break down the insides of this defense.
But it's just really, do they have enough in the chamber to get it
Yeah,
done?
I mean, he's just gonna cock it back, and just start. You have to start shooting, and if he's putting them through the hole, and he's dishing out assists, there are really some snipers out there.
That's
So
who you got.
I have Texas, but if that can happen, I wouldn't be surprised if they start sniping from downtown, even from close range. They start shooting from inside.
It's Texas. It's Texas.
They can even start shooting from the
They
cars.
could all shoot. They could all shoot in Texas.
What?
All
All right, we got the World Baseball.
So did not get the memo.
All right, we had the World
But
Baseball Classic.
Texas might be winning
We're
in
still making
his
smile.
bracket, but Texas is not winning in the BBL.
Yeah, Texas isn't winning the BBL.
Texas is winning the BBL.
Texas Tech. Texas Tech. Texas Tech. Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting off of this. Yeah.
World Baseball Classic to talk about, guys. You might lose just from not talk.
All right, I haven't watched it, so
Talk about baseball.
I haven't watched baseball either.
You know about baseball, though.
I haven't watched it. Someone else. No, you watched it.
Yeah. Oh, actually, no, I just kind of watched.
No, man. No, we're going to baseball.
All right.
Hey, stop it.
Fucking idiot. Actually.
Stop it.
Yes, are you actually being seriously right now? You didn't stop it, actually? Where do I? Oh, I can't wait